Around the world, bombs are going off now. Even though you can't hear the explosions or see the dead bodies piling up, does not mean that war is not happening. Although the world war has not yet broken out, unless we act now to decisively stop the oncoming barrage, the violence occurring right now in Syria, Iraq, Iran, Pakistan, and countless other nations across South and Southwest Asia will only be seen as the precursors to the most devastating world war in history. The battleships have moved into place. The missile silos have been opened. The contingency plans on both sides have already been drawn up. In the days before World War I, wishful thinking was pervasive, even among the supposed resistance inside the German social democracy and related groups. Not that people did not know that every indication pointed towards war, but that they did not wish to know. And as the war drew ever closer, the propensity for denial only increased, until that moment at which denial vanished in the screams of the bombs falling from the air. The Christmas holiday comes at a very dangerous time this year. Obama's still the president. The financial system is collapsing. The most dangerous thing that we could do at this moment would be to let down our guard. LaRouche is currently the face of the opposition to this drive for world war and to this Hitler president currently in the White House. Those who are emboldened by the fact that this may be their final chance to fight are escaping the clutches of popular opinion and fear to stand with us in this unified front of resistance. What Lyndon LaRouche has done personally since the very first warning he issued right after the death of Gaddafi, all the way through his emergency broadcast last night, has successfully jammed up the works and delayed the outbreak of war. But as he emphatically declared to all those willing to hear it yesterday, the only guaranteed war avoidance strategy is the swift and sudden removal of this president from office by impeachment or constitutional suspension of his powers through the application of Amendment 25. Where does this denial come from? It comes from a misunderstanding of history, the belief that cause is somehow located in the experience of the present, rather than the present being merely the shadow of an ongoing process of cause, a process which stretches far beyond the bookends of the individual mortal life. Listen for a moment to Lyndon LaRouche reading the opening passage of the newest report he is in the process of writing.
The subject is on the history of man's mortality. As a result of an inherently systemic error which is built into widely popular reliance on the notion of sense certainty, people generally, including most among ostensibly well-educated scientific and other professionals and the like, tend to premise their interpretation of experience according to the so-called popular opinion's pro-Euclidean folly of belief in an a priori sense of alleged certainties respecting what popular opinion would consider as being merely clock time. In the final analysis, the subject of this report will turn out to have been actually the subject of the bounds of human mortality. Thus, the worst disasters in the history of mankind have been caused by the neglect of those available truths, which the majority among even the privileged leaders in society as today have not wished to know.
These truths, which even the leaders of our society avoid confronting, lie at the root of the real issue at stake in the so-called war we face today. We forget, or perhaps never knew, that in fact a war, in the real sense, has always been going on, one which has lasted for perhaps thousands of years. It's a war of the oligarchical regime versus the defenders of the human race. What was Prometheus punished for by Zeus? Who was it that crucified Jesus of Nazareth? Why did Nero murder the Christian apostles Peter and Paul? What's the story of Joan of Arc, What happened to the German opposition to Hitler, those young resistors who were inspired by the ideas of Beethoven and Schiller? Why did the British shoot John Kennedy? This is an ongoing war, and the violence that breaks out at discrete intervals in history, what the layman calls war, is merely the shadow of a continuous war between two cultures, one which believes in the principle of evil enshrined in the Roman imperial system and reincarnated in various forms until the present day, and another, which is the image according to which the American constitutional republic was originally founded. However, the difference between the current outbreak of potential thermonuclear war and those other great wars which are merely precursors of the danger we face in the present is that we've now reached the very end of that Roman imperial system. The possibility of empire to survive on this globe has now reached its final stage, and the options are only two. Russia, China, and the United States destroy themselves and the rest of civilization in a globally extended, British-provoked Third World War, or we unite to bring down the pillars of that empire itself. Don't let yourself believe that the current situation is merely somehow an accident. Just like the First World War was premeditated at least 25 years before it happened, as Chancellor Bismarck had warned, this war that we face today was envisaged by the British as far back as 1933 and before. While Hitler was still consolidating his power, H.G. Wells wrote his own Mein Kampf under the title The Shape of Things to Come, The Ultimate Revolution, in which Wells professed his vision for a fascism far greater than anything that Hitler would ever achieve. This was no mere science fiction novel, but a recipe book for war and genocide, a manifesto of the British intent, an intent that they still stand by even until the present day. The book tells in gruesome detail the story of the collapse of the world's monetary system, a global plague that then breaks out, killing more than half of the population of the planet, the decades of Dark Age which follow, the dissolution of the Westphalian nation-state, and finally, the ultimate emergence of a so-called air dictatorship which enforces a global system of what Wells named universal fascism. And the event which sets off this entire cascade of destruction is a world war that begins on Christmas Day.
hello, young Harding. You're early.
Yes, I've finished up. It was too late to start anything fresh. What's all this fuss about in the papers tonight, Mr. Cabell?
Wars and rumors of wars.
Crying wolf?
Someday the wolf will come. These fools are capable of anything.
In that case, what happens to medical research?
It has to stop.
That'll mess me up.
Mess you up. Mess everything up. My God, if war gets loose again.
Happy Christmas, everyone. While shepherds watch their flocks by night, all seated on the ground. What's the matter with you fellas?
All that. This little upset across the water doesn't mean anything. Threatened men live long and threatened wars never occur. Another speech by him. I tell you, there's nothing in it. It's just to buck people up about the air estimates. Now, why meet wars halfway? Why not look on the bright side of things? You're all right. Your business is going up. You've got a jolly wife, a pretty home.
All's right with the world, eh? All's right with the world.
Certainly.
Passworthy, you should have been called Pippa Passworthy.
Oh, and Cabell, you've been smoking too much. You're not eupeptic. Oh, come on, it's Christmas. Noel, 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 Noel. Born is the King of Israel. Nice toys they have nowadays. Nice toys. The toys we had were simpler. Ever so much simpler. Noah's Arks and wooden soldiers. Nothing complex like these. You know, I wonder sometimes if perhaps all these new toys aren't a bit too much for them.
It teaches them to use their hands.
And I suppose their grandchildren will see even more wonderful things. Progress. Progress. I'd like to see the wonders they'll see.
Don't be too sure of progress.
Oh, listen to the incurable pessimist. What's to stop progress nowadays? War. Firstly, there isn't going to be a war, and secondly, war doesn't stop progress. It stimulates progress.
Yes, war can be a highly stimulating thing. But you can overdo a stimulant.
Oh, well, after all, don't be exaggerating the horrors of war. Don't we rather overdo that song? After all, you know, the last war wasn't as bad as some people make out. We didn't worry. Something great seemed to have got hold of us.
Something greater still may get hold of us next time. If we don't end war, war will end us.
Well, what can you do?
Yeah. What can we do?
Goodwill towards Ben. Real old-fashioned Christmas this year. Fresh little snow with a nip in the air, eh?
What is that? Sounded like a gun.
Guns here. Merry Christmas, Cabell. Here's to another good year for all of us. Another year of recovery, eh?
What's the searchlight doing now?
Yes. Well, it must be anti-aircraft maneuvers. Maneuvers at Christmas? No.
Listen, guns again.
Yeah? Cabell speaking. The Hilltown Aerodrome at 3. Mobilization.
Oh, God.
Perhaps it's only precautionary mobilization. The unknown aircraft passed over Sea Beach and dropped bombs within a few hundred yards of the waterworks. They then turned seaward again. By this time, they'd been picked up with the searchlights of the battleship Dinosaur. Before they could mount out of range, she had opened upon them with her anti-aircraft guns. Unfortunately, without result.
Of course, everyone has said this time they'll start without any declaration of war.
Oh, listen.
We do not yet know the nationality of these aircraft, though of course there can be little doubt of their place of origin. But before all things, it is necessary for the country to keep calm. No doubt the losses suffered by the fleet are serious.
That losses of the fleet?
Listen.
And it It is imperative that the whole nation should at once stand to arms. Orders for a general mobilization have been issued, and the precautionary civilian organization against gas will at once be put into operation. Our instructions have just come to hand. We shall cut off for 5 minutes, then read you the general instructions. Please call in all your friends. Call in everyone you can.
You've got your stimulant, Passworthy. Something great has got you. War has come.
There may be an air raid, but it is not likely to be a very serious one. You must be prepared for it. The danger will not be great. As soon as the danger is over, bugles will sound all clear. The streets will be dangerous. Do not assemble in crowds. Keep indoors. Go home. Those who are far from home can take refuge in the underground railways. Go home. Go home. Go home. Get out of the square. Get out of the street. Go home and keep home. Put out your lights. Close the windows. Put a wet sheet or a wet blanket over doors and windows. Keep indoors. Keep indoors. Get out of the street. Go home. Keep home. An air raid is approaching every town. Gas masks are being distributed. See that they fit tightly behind the ears. Get to cover. Get under cover at once. The enemy is not in any great force, but our anti-aircraft gunners will speedily dispose of them.